So I just vomited up my meds and the milk I was trying to hold down and one of these. My roommate bought me that. I asked him for some nutrition shakes like they give you in the hospital, but he came back with that. But he tried. That's nice. So, what is my father's doing? One name my family doing. So this is the vomit pill, Zofran. It works. Now, what I want to do in this video is explain how stupid people are and how they want their cake and eat it too. This is the problem with my father during childhood and today. He wants to poison his children. He wants to give them no education. He wants to allow his wife to beat him with rulers, go off the rails, traffic him to 5 different states, destroy his health, don't bring him to a neurologist, get a bunch of fake mental illnesses established, and then he wants to have his cake, and because I'm dying, he wants to eat it too, so he's going to leave me to die. He wants to have his cake. That's just sitting on a beach getting drunk. Party time, the relaxed time. Like for me, it's sitting by a lake and listening to music. For him, and I don't drink beer anymore. There used to be a beer involved. For him, it's go out to an expensive dinner, go on a cruise, then sit on a beach with a book taking a nap. Then go get drunk, then have an expensive dinner, then go home, then see the neighbors, then try to act like a good grandfather for one weekend, and then go back. And it's really hard for them. They explain it's so hard to be a grandmother. They don't even want the grandkids around. No. As soon as the grandkids leave the house, they talk about how hard it was, how awful it was. Oh my God, did you see how they ran around here? Yeah, I saw how they ran around. Oh my God, so much work. Can't we? Oh, well, let's put it off for a couple more months. Let's not do this again for a couple of weeks. Yeah, let's not do this right away. Let's go on a cruise and then we'll come back and see them. Yeah, yeah. That's how they talk once when you leave the room. They act all, oh, it's so happy to see you. Give me a hug. Oh, I love you so much. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Sit down there. Yes, what do you want to do? You want to go to the, oh, you want to go to the zoo? Okay, well, we can go to the zoo. Okay, we're at the zoo. Okay, see you guys later. Have fun with mommy. Are they gone? Yeah, they're gone. Oh my God, that zoo smelled, huh? Yeah, it smelled. Oh, and they just ran around wearing us out all day, huh? Yeah. Oh my God, this is so much work. Why can't they just keep their own kids? Watch their own goddamn kids. Yeah, yeah. Can't they just pay for a goddamn daycare already? Why do we gotta watch them once a week, huh? This is too much work at our age. What? They should be able to handle their own damn kids. This is the way they talk, and it's because they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have grandkids but not have any responsibility in it. The only problem with this raising lifestyle, it's okay for grandmothers. Yes, it is. It's okay for grandfathers because those children have a parent. They have a mother and a father that have to take full responsibility for the actions and their child's health care, their child's education, the food their child's eating, the clothing on the child's back, and the roof over the child's head. That's up to the parents to try to provide. Now, in my childhood, did I always have health care? Fuck no. Oh my God, I had an overdose and still to this day I'm trying to get health care. 25 years, still trying to get health care for something my mother should have been right on. My father should have been right on. Now, how about my stomach issues? Nope, no health care there. Actually, they kept on trying to give me more pills and more drugs and kept on trying to give me more stress. That was giving me stomach ulcers. The more stress my mother used to try to set up for me, the harder it was. And yes, my mother and father, their only job was to make my life difficult. I'm not kidding. They didn't make my life easier. That's what you think of other parents. When I already had a hard exam coming, my mother would add on some sleeping drugs, some Thorazine, move me around, move me to Maine, then literally just drop me in a room and then try to fucking make a bunch of noise. Then I would be dropped in a program where kids are running, stealing my homework off the table, ripping it up, just running around like crazy kids. That's adding a lot of work. All I need is a room. I need the book open. I need a mother who can maybe just keep that roof over my head. And then I need a study. But instead, my mother's bringing drugs into the pictures. She's acting like a lunatic. I'm going to a program where kids are acting like a lunatic. My homework is going missing. I'm having to transport shit all over the place. I'm going from Maine to Mass to Haverhill. Then we're going on vacation. Then we're going here. And then I'm going to the doctor's 3 hours away so my mother can be humored and make up stories to him. Yes, I used to have to sit there quietly as my mother made up lies. And when I used to say, that's not true, she's lying, she's making up stories again, they would say, shut up and be quiet. Or the doctor would say, why do you feel a need not to let that go? I said, because it's a lie. Because it's made up. I have to tell somebody that she's lying about me, right? And the doctor would say, well, can't you just let it go? Can't you just let it go? When your mother does something wrong, can't you just let it go? If your mother yells at you or beats you with a ruler or is poisoning you with pills or if she's double drugging you or if you got sick on Halloween, every Halloween until the age of 13, or if you got an overdose and your nervous system isn't working, or if you're bumping into furniture and your mother's trying to call it self-harming, can't you just let that go and not talk about it? And this is because that's what my mother was trying to convince the doctor to get me to do. So I kept on getting told not to talk about this stuff. Now that I've talked to real psychiatrists without my mother pulling the strings like a puppet, I get real answers like, that is not right, Zach. You should have been telling adults about what was going on in that household. If your mother gives you a pill and you feel very sick, you should have been bringing that up. And I say I did. I brought it up to the doctor, I brought it up to my mother, and I brought it up to the teachers because the teachers were asking. It wasn't like I just went out looking to tell people this. They noticed through my whole childhood, from age 7 all the way to age 25, teachers and other adults would come up to me and ask, why do you look this way? Why are you shaky? Why are you so skinny? Why are you vomiting? Why are you sick? Why are you pale? Why are you weak? Why did your mother write this crazy letter? Why is your mother acting so crazy? Why is your mother talking crazy? Why is your mother so crazy? Why is your mother so crazy? Other kids asking me why my mother's so crazy. So, I get this over and over and over and over. And I don't really have good answers for them because I don't know why my mother's acting crazy. I've had talks with her about it. She asked me one time. Now, my father was at some meeting. I think it was something to do with learning how to scam how to scam the stock market, insider trading, all that good stuff, how to try to scam the market, when really you have to know what people want. My father has no idea about electronics or what the next big thing is going to be. So my father wasn't learning what the next big thing was going to be. He wasn't doing research on electronics and what people might want to buy in the future. He was learning how to get insider tips to know which stock is going to go up. He was learning a little different. I mean, a lot more than that, but that's what my father brags. I was listening. My father literally just wants to call a man and have him trade stocks for him. That's pretty much. My father doesn't want to spend hours researching computers and Sony. He doesn't want to know about Sony's differences versus Philips. And he doesn't want to learn about DVD players or electronics or know what the big next item that's coming up next year might be. No, he wants to know what people are already planning on dumping or what people are planning on buying. That way he can try to wiggle his way in to what other nice stock portfolio people do. And that is illegal stock trading. That's little insider secrets going around. Which stock is going to go up, which stock is going to go down, based upon information, not based upon study information, not based upon millions of people around America wanting a certain something that's coming out. Like if you invested in these AI bots, these chat bots and stuff, 10 years ago, and you put stock, well, if it was publicly traded, if you did that, it would be going up. Same thing with computers. If you put money in Apple before it became big, you would have made lots of money. When I was learning how to invest in the stock market from my school and a class I was taking, I picked Sony because they were just about to come out with 3D technology. Now, they came out with the TV, but I knew the video games were going to be big. Now, I knew this would only be a small jump and it would come back down. These technologies jump for about a year and then the stocks go back down. But this was only a class for 1 year. So I only needed to dump a stock. I needed to buy a bunch of stock, and then at the end of the year, I needed to dump a bunch of stock. And whoever dumped the most value of money from what we started with. So we all started with 1,000, and whoever got the best back in percentage. We didn't do amounts. We spent 1,000 percentage points. It was this whole formula system they had. And then whoever had the highest number wins. Now mine more than doubled. My numbers more than doubled. And we had to check it through online. You can't fake the numbers. Your numbers come from online. And the ones I picked were Nike, because they were just coming out with a new technology for sneakers. Sony, because they just came out with a new video game system within a couple months. They came out with 3D TVs that same year, and a new 3D technology was getting integrated in the old PlayStation 3, as well as Sony had a bunch of other new stuff like Blu-ray players coming out. So I knew all their stocks were going up. But after the 3D boom, they were going to go down. So I invested in everything I went in. GameStop did better because they consolidated and bought up the other one. There was 2 game companies out there that were publicly traded. One was going out of business. The other one was buying up the business. So I put that one on the list too. And what wouldn't you know, that went up by a little. Not by a lot, but it went up by a little too, because they bought up another company. But not that much. I thought they would go up by a lot more. Anyway, so that's what I did. And I was only practicing. But insider trading is illegal. So I was doing it the right way. You try to do research, figure out what might be a big seller, what company is going to make a lot of money this year. Not who am I going to call to give me the secrets. Anyway, so having your cake and eating it too is a big problem. And a lot of people have that problem. Now, I vomit a lot. I get sick to my stomach a lot. Now, I was going to start this with how people do this. So, I might be at the doctor, and I might be on the phone telling them that I wasn't able to make the 7 a.m. appointment or something. And then they ask, well, that's your own fault or something. And it is. I go, okay. But the reason why I'm going to the doctor is I can't stop vomiting some mornings. From about 6 a.m. to 9, a lot of the times I'm dry heaving or vomiting. Well, you can't do that on a bus. You can't vomit in a bag on a bus the whole way to the doctor's. You can't be bleeding on the bus, squirting blood all over the place. If you're going to the doctor because you're severely injured and sick, like I seem to always fucking be at this point. I mean, for 25 years, I've had a neurological disorder. For 20 years, stomach and esophagus issues. For about 20 years, PTSD and anxiety. For 31 years, ADHD. For about 2 years, kidney failure. For about 2 years, GI issues. For 20 years, seizures and muscle spasms. I have all these things going on, including vomiting in the morning, lack of appetite. I have a lot of problems from my mother drugging the shit out of me and mixing pills around. So with all this going on, yeah, I can't be on the bus vomiting. It isn't like I don't want to be on the bus. It isn't like I missed it because I wasn't there. A lot of times I'm at the bus stop vomiting and the bus driver just won't let me on. He says, no, you're too sick to come on vomiting like that. Or if you can't stand up, you can't come on. And so I need a wheelchair. If I was in a wheelchair in that situation, then they let me go to the doctor. But a lot of the problems I'm having require actual medical treatment. But after 25 years, I'm still not receiving any medical treatment for my body. I mean, they'll give me all the drugs I want. Don't get me wrong. If I go to a psychiatrist, they'll give me every pill in the book that I ask for. But if I go to a primary care and just need my a seizure looked at or a broken leg, forget about it. I'm not getting shit. It'll take me a year to get a cast. My leg will be healed and back to new before I even get a cast. This is the problem thanks to my mother and father. And I'm so tired of people trying to victim blame. Oh, it's your own fault. You could have taken the bus. I am vomiting in front of you. I've been vomiting every morning for hours. The bus told me no vomiting on the bus anymore. Okay? If you can get the bus driver to agree to take me while vomiting, I'll be happy to take it while vomiting. But the bus driver told me no more, and I have trouble walking while vomiting. I have to stop vomiting, take a couple steps, vomit, stop vomiting, take a couple steps. This is a living hell I live in thanks to my mother and father, and you guys aren't making this any easier by making new rules. You can't ride the bus because you're too sick. I'm always like this. Then you can't use the bus always. Really? Okay, great. So now I can't drive. I can't use the bus. I can't work. I can't collect my Social Security. I can't use a shelter. And now you're cutting me off from buses because I'm vomiting too much? Great. If I catch any more illnesses, they'll just want me in a box in the woods. You might as well bury me now because that's all you guys want me to do is sit there in a coffin. Anytime I try to do anything and my disabilities get in the way, you guys tell me to go get lost. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for giving me such a bright future. I'm gonna be dead. My parents signed me up for death. While other people were getting ready for some college or some business, hey, son, I want you to follow my footsteps. You're gonna be a mechanic like me. My mother was going, I want you to follow in nobody's footsteps. I want you to die for our actions. I don't want you collecting Social Security. I don't want you working. I don't want you having your health. I don't want you to be able to use any services. I want everything for me. My father goes, yeah. I want Social Security to pay my mortgage. Yes. I want all of my wife's retirement now that she's dead. I want you out of the house to die in the woods. I don't want to see you die here. Go die someplace else. Yeah, I know we poisoned you, but go die someplace else. Motherfuckers, goddamn, I'm gonna have to die. But before I die, I think I gotta teach some people a lesson of what natural consequences are. You call somebody a serial killer on the record, you call somebody a fire setter, you poison them, you drug them, you make up stories about them, you fuck with their mental health, you give them PTSD memories for life, and then you even deny that any of these things ever happened when they were right in front of you. You know what happens when you do that to somebody? Nothing good. See, nothing's happened because I'm a good soul that follows Jesus. So while my mother was beating me with the ruler, I cried and took it. And then I walked and comforted my nephew who was crying. Yes. Did I fight back? Did I punch my mother in the nose? Did I kick her in the cunt? Nope. Did I do anything wrong? Nope. I just sat there, took the ruler to the face. It hit me on the cheekbone, hurt like a bitch. Tears went down my eyes. My mother continued hitting me. Then I left the room, saw my nephew in need, crying about me getting whacked, and then I comforted my nephew, telling him it's okay. He screams, no, it isn't. No, it's not. You didn't do anything wrong to get a ruler beating. You didn't do anything. You didn't. I said, I know I didn't do anything. But my mother does this. It's okay. She's not going to hurt you. It's okay. But my father would try to tell you that oh, no, that couldn't have happened. But my nephew and me will tell you, oh, yes, we were there. My father has seen plenty to know how unstable his wife was, but he never wanted to deal with it. So I had to deal with it. I had to take the ruler. I had to take the Thorazine. I had to take the overdose. I had to take the full bottle of Ipecac. I had to take the loss of education. I had to take the loss in my nervous system. I had to take the loss of my body. I had to take the loss in my stomach. I had to take the loss in my esophagus. I had to take all these losses because my father didn't want to deal with his wife. He didn't want to get her help. So instead, they just tortured a child and let that be the lightning rod of her outlet. As long as my mother was torturing me, everybody in the family was safe and their secret was safe. Nobody would ever know how crazy my mother was as long as my father backed up her crazy-ass stories and she was allowed to cripple the shit out of an orphan nobody cared about. And now I have to die because she killed herself with drugs and alcohol, and now my father's trying to hide it and running away, and I'm poor, can't drive, can't work, can't collect Social Security. Why can't I collect Social Security? My father already wiped all that shit out. Not only did he use up the benefits and my name, he also made up so many stories that when I go down the Social Security for something that's real, something all my doctors see, all they want to dwell on is my dead mother's fantasies. Yes, they will give me all the drugs I want for a dead woman's fantasies. But blood right in front of them, they want to wait years and do more testing because they're not sure. See, the new stuff has no documentation on my file. because it's not new and I'm telling them it's 25 years old. They don't know what to make of this. But they have 25 years of bullshit from my mother that they can work with, that they can't get in any trouble with, because they can go, oh no, see, we have had 10 doctors say that Zach needs this. That's why we gave it to him. So if they want to give me drugs, that's fine, because they have 15 years of my mother to base those drugs on, so they can't get in any trouble. They're not doing anything. But for a 25-year-old disorder that's never been treated, that my mother and father try to hide from the doctors, that is harder for the doctors to deal with, because they have no prior information to work with, and they try to hide it so it looks like other diseases. So it makes it very difficult for me to get any real medical treatment, thanks to my mother and father's choices. So most likely I have to die in the woods for their sins, and I might have to teach some lessons on the way out. I don't exactly know. I'm not that type of person. Maybe write a letter, but that doesn't seem stern enough. Writing a letter, I'm dead, and then dying and having them bury you, or ending up in the emergency room while your family tries to torture you and keep you alive against your will, and then talks down to you while you can't even talk because you're paralyzed, does not seem like it's the right way to go for holding somebody accountable for killing you and torturing you and poisoning you and then hiding it and then watching your own mother die because nobody wanted to handle it. Yeah, a letter is a little not strong enough for sure. But I think the best thing to do is contact them and have them handle this. That's what is the best. Be a family. Love one another. They help clean up their mess and fix the neurological disorder, the records that are out there with their names on it, the stories my mother made up. Make sure I can live a normal life like anybody else. And I don't mean with money. I don't mean normal like that. I mean, if I walk into a hospital, I'm treated like the guy in back of me walking into the hospital. I walk into the shelter, I'm treated at least like the guy in back of me in the shelter. If the guy has a disability and he's in a wheelchair, they're not going to ask him to run up a flight of stairs to get him something. But in my case, they just throw my ass out for my disabilities. Why? They're not documented. It's the same problem. And always, even my driving comes to the same problem. Every single problem in my life comes down to the same thing: a neurological disorder and not having my disabilities properly documented. Every single thing from driving, down to working, down to paying my rent, down to walking down the road. Just walking down the road on the sidewalk during winter. The reason why I have difficulty doing that comes down to, once again, an overdose at the age of 7 and having no documentation or no medical treatment for that illness. That was very clear to everybody, but my mother just wanted to call it self-harming, a coordination issue. He needs ballet. Look, he's cured. Whatever. Whatever gets me out of trouble. Let's move to Texas now. Let's move him to New Mexico now. Let's move him to Maine now. Let's move him to Chelmsford now. Let's move him to Haverhill now. Let's move him to Chelmsford now. Let's move him to Haverhill now. Let's move him to Haverhill. Let's move him to Lawrence. Let's move him to Lawrence. Let's move him to Chelmsford. Let's move him to Maine. Let's move him to Chelmsford. Let's move him to Lowell. Let's move him to Lowell, to Lawrence, to Haverhill. I was never in more than one spot for 2 years. The doctors never even had a chance to diagnose me. Only the doctors that went along with my mother's mental illness, that dealt with only psychiatry, ever worked with me. And they're not going to work with my physical ailments like neurology. If you ask a psychiatrist about neurological symptoms, they'll give you anxiety or PTSD every time. The problem is that if you ask a doctor, a psychiatrist, why when I move my thumb, my nervous system shocks me and my leg bounces, why is that? He's not going to have a good answer because he's the wrong doctor to be seeing. You need a neurologist. I needed a neurologist in a primary care, not a psychiatrist. But my mother wanted to feed her mental illness. It had nothing to do with my needs. When I needed clothing, you think I got clothing? No. You think when I needed food in New Mexico, I got food? No. You think when I was getting abused by a black man, I got the police? No. You think when I had an overdose and I needed to go to the hospital, I got to the hospital? No. It didn't matter if I needed an ambulance. It didn't matter if I needed food. It didn't matter if I needed a doctor. It didn't matter if I needed clothing. It didn't matter if I needed protection. It didn't matter if I needed an education. It only mattered what my father and mother wanted. If they wanted a vacation and I needed a education, they want a vacation. I want an education. Which one do you think they picked? Which one came first? Their vacation comes first. My education, they'll do the best they can when they come back. That's the way it goes. They don't forget about my education, but they're going to go on a vacation, and then they'll deal with it when they come back. Then, whatever opportunities they had are gone, and they go, oh, well, we still got this school over here. Yeah, we'll try that one. But the good one was you could have signed me up for the month before. Yeah, but we needed to go on vacation. This is the have your cake and eat it too. You blame the victim, you victim blame, then you go worry about yourself, you go take care of all your happinesses and wants, and then you continue blaming the victim. And then as the victim gets older, you can say, you're 40, it's your own fault. Meanwhile, I've been bitching about this since age 7. I was bringing this up at age 7, bringing it up at age 9, bringing it up at age 11, bringing it up at age 13, bringing it up at age 15, bringing it up at age 16, bringing it up at age 18, bringing it up at age 19, bringing it up at age 21, bringing it up at age 22. Took a little break, let my father mourn my mother's death. Then 7 years ago, bringing it up, 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 bringing it up. And it's never changed. My story's never changed. I've been able to add details, give a little bit of clarity to it, but the story always is, I went to watch Batman with my new adopted parents. I was given pills. I experienced some type of overdose with really bad symptoms. I was not brought to the emergency room. And then later, my mother hid it and never got it handled. Now, I can give you the actual memory, the PTSD memory of me sitting there. I have these clear. They'll never, ever leave my brain because they're so scary, and I still don't have answers from anybody about why I can't move my body properly after 25 years. So, yeah. It's real, all right. They know it's real. But no matter what, my father will stick to lying and manipulating his way out of it. Until maybe he decides to call me and actually handle this like an adult, politely, and try that. Then I can protect him like I was doing before. But the problem is that with me protecting them, I'm going to die. If I continue not telling people what's wrong, I'm going to die. I've tried telling people what's wrong with my father and mother there. I spoke up with my mother and father there. My mother doubled down on poisoning me because of that. Now I'm speaking up again, and my father's doubling down on hurting me again. Every time I speak about this, keep that in mind. My father and mother, or his new wife, doubled down on trying to kill me quicker. It happened last time, too. When I was 7 years old and I tried to tell the doctors about what happened, my mother started to really give me a lot of medication that made me drowsy. That's what I mean by the adoption. I talked to the doctors, now I'm on drugs. So my mother really went up with the drugs a lot more after I started speaking up about the overdose. And the same thing is happening. I'm speaking about my body and the overdose still, 25 years later. I told my father he still needs to handle this. What do you think his new wife does? She starts calling my doctors and trying to get them to drop out and stop seeing me. Yeah, she tries to interfere with my ability to get medical care. That was her plan. Call me a crazy fanatic, say I have fantasies, I like to make up stories about them, and then the doctors won't listen, and then I won't be able to get medical care, then I'll have a seizure, I'll be paralyzed, I won't be able to talk, and I'll die, and then they can just vacation all they want, and they killed me off, and nobody will ever have to take responsibility for killing an orphan. That is their plan. Their plan is to finish me off, and nobody will care. They have made this very clear to me. They have done this for 25 years. They've given me the pills. They've given me the overdoses. They've trafficked me all over the country. They've lied to multiple doctors. They've kept me from driving. They've kept me, think about it this way. If you had a learner's permit, right, and you thought your son was well, would you want him to drive? Well, whatever your answer is, then here's the facts. My father says he knew I was well. He thinks I was well at the age of 16 to 18. Now, I wasn't. It was very clear to the teachers and people around me that I was twitching. I had tics at the doctors. I had uncontrollable muscle movements. I used to fall off the bike. I had a seizure in New Mexico. It was very clear that things are going on where I either go unconscious or my arms and legs move inappropriately. And what I mean by inappropriately, I just mean twitching. They don't do what I want it to do, and that's not appropriate because I am trying to tell it to walk or move. And if you're driving a car and you're using a little bit of gas and your right leg twitches, that's the difference from light gas and flooring. Or if you're on the steering wheel and your arm makes a twitch, that now you're spun out. So yeah, that's a big problem. But my father says he knew nothing about my illness. He knew nothing about my neurological disorder, even though I spoke up in front of him over and over and over about it. He knew nothing about it, he says. But yet, my father did not want me driving. He did not want me using that learner's permit. He never even once showed me how to back up a car. Nothing. Didn't bring me to a parking lot. He let the whole thing expire. 2 years, not a single second behind a car. I had a learner's permit for 2 entire years, and my father didn't even spend 30 seconds showing me how to turn on a car. I still to this day have no idea how to drive a car. I have no want to drive a car until my neurological disorder is treated. But at that time, I was caught between a rock and a hard place. Everybody wants me to drive. Most people know there's something wrong with my body and my coordination. Meanwhile, my father wants me to drive, but he doesn't want me to learn how to drive. He just wants it to come out of thin air again. And this is what I mean by my father wants his cake and eat it too. He wants me to know how to drive, have a car, and do all this on my own and out of thin air. With no father, no mother, no trainer, no car, no practice, nothing. I just have to know how to do it. That's my father's opinion. He doesn't have to show me how to drive. He doesn't have to, we don't have to go get medical care before we put anybody else in the danger. He's not going to try to drive me to some lesson place where somebody will drive me and teach me. No. He expects all this stuff to fall out of thin air at my school or something. My school did not have a driver's ed, by the way. I was in a special school for disabled children. So I did not have a driver's ed at my school. They had no driver's testing. You couldn't even sign up for any driving. That's up to the parents only. My program also do not want their children driving. So they try to keep them from driving. So the only person that would have been able to set me up with a trainee or somebody who could have taught me how to drive without learner's permit was my father and mother. But yet they wanted this to drop out of the sky in front of me. I couldn't go out and get these things either because I don't drive. There is no place around here where I can walk or call. It doesn't work like that. You have to drive me and find these places for me, and then I learn. But first, we should take care of the neurological disorder at the doctors so nobody gets hurt. But see, they're not doing either of these things. They want my health to drop out of the sky. They want my driving ability to drop out of the sky. They want my education to drop out of the sky. And then they think my housing and my Social Security will drop out of the sky right after they're done robbing it too. My father's collecting $980 without telling the programs or anybody. Meanwhile, I get free rent because he's lying to my program. So I get thrown out after a year of free rent because my father was pocketing my rent money. Yes, my rent money went in my father's pocket straight to his mortgage. I'm not even kidding. In Lawrence, I was in a rooming house. Now, if you're on Social Security, you have to pay $600 in rent. Now, I was on Social Security, $980 a month, so that was not a problem. But I didn't know it. My father was hiding this from everybody, and I'm 19 years old. Anyways, a year passes, and he gets caught in trouble. Now, I get thrown out of my house. I cannot continue the program, and the program helps you keep your Social Security. They have an attorney that works with the kids there. They show you how to fill out the paperwork. They even show you how to get your first apartment. They show you how to get a job online. They show you how to use a library computer. They have all these programs for people on Social Security, or they have another program for people who work. People who work, they show how to get a full-time job, and that's it. And then they get a discount on their rent. Well, my father lied and manipulated, pocketed the money, kept my rent money for himself, and I got thrown out. Then he was supposed to get in trouble with the Social Security office and the Department of Health and Human Services for Social Security theft. And he was supposed to pay me the $12,000, and then the program was trying to work out something. But because he's my father and because he was going to blame me for his own mistakes, yes, my father was already getting ready to blame me and say it's my fault he stole my Social Security, so I bailed him out. I refused to sign the paperwork. My father did not have to pay the 12 grand, and I got thrown out of my housing, which my father made up another lie. He said I was coming home to take care of my mother. Now, that is part true. That is one of the reasons why I came home. But it was very clear they did not care about me taking care of them or not. My mother didn't care. My father didn't want any taken care of. They didn't want me in charge of shit. They wanted me to sit down, be quiet, get out of the way, and just die already. Yeah, they just wanted me dead and out of the way already. I mean, you've been crippling me for all this long. Now I'm sick, useless, weak. I barely can mow a lawn without getting really, really sick. I mean, yes, when I used to mow the lawn for my father, I used to get really nauseous and sick, so dizzy. Why? Because I'm underweight, dehydrated, I'm not eating enough food, and I'm on a bunch of meds that are making me dizzy. I mow the lawn, what's really not that strenuous, and I'm freaking out of breath dizzy. I'm a smoker too, that's the out of breath part. But you got all these medications keeping me like that for hours and hours. At nighttime, oh boy. I mean, I would like you to take here's only half of my medications. Take Seroquel, Trazodone, Thorazine. Now, take at least 300 milligrams of Seroquel. That's what I started at. I was on 600 to 800 by the end. But we'll start you off at 300 milligrams of Seroquel, what's very high. Most people start at 50, but my mother and my doctor wanted me at 300. So anyways, I'm on 300 of that in the beginning. By the end, I'm on 600 to 800, and that's ridiculous to my knowledge. I thought that was way too strong. But anyways, 300. Then mix that with 200 of Trazodone. Then mix that in with a Thorazine. And on top of that, make sure that you take some Xanax throughout the day. And then tell me how well you function within the week. Tell me how well you get up at 6 in the morning. This is what I dare you to do. I dare you to take 300 milligrams of Seroquel, 200 of Trazodone, and 150 of Thorazine, just like my mother was doing during childhood. Remember, I was only 12 taking those. So, you're a grown adult. You should be able to take it. So take those medications, set your alarm clock for 6 in the morning, and then tell me how well you do in that morning. And then you can come back and speak to me about how difficult your life is or how hard things are. I was a 12-year-old trying to take classes in the morning. Meanwhile, my head rings, I have a banging feeling, I'm hungover, and the room is spinning. I try to look at my paperwork in the morning, and the numbers are floating in midair thanks to the meds. As soon as the meds wear off, and I'm not high as a kite or hungover the next morning from my meds, then I'm fine. Now, you would think I would bring this up at the doctor's, right? I'd bring it up with my mother. I sure as hell did. I brought it up with the program staff. I brought it up with the doctor. I brought it up with my mother. You know what they did? They said I should wait. It might take a while to get used to the medication, and they said I should wait, and then they kept on going up and adding more medications as I got worse. A year later, I said, I'm really feeling weird. This stuff is really making me sick. Nope, I should wait some more. Another year goes by. I bring it up again. Nope, I should wait and they should double it. And my mother says, don't blame the medicines. And I wait another year, no matter how much I complain, no matter how much I bring up headaches, vomiting, no matter how many emergency room visits I'm brought to for headaches, no matter what happens, even if I turn white, pale, start puking, and need an IV fluid from dehydration because Chinese food and my medication put together equals bam, I'm fucked. All this shit. I'm even lost all my teeth. I was on so many dehydrating medications that I've had dry mouth my entire life. Not only have I had dry mouth my entire life, and I don't know a day without it, I've also, every single night, and for my entire life, needed a pill to fall asleep. My brain doesn't know how to fall asleep thanks to my mother and father. For the last 7 years, I've been learning with Benadryl. I spend many, many hours trying to fall asleep with nothing, and then if 1 o'clock comes around or it gets too late, I take a Benadryl. But this is problematic. I spent 20 years never sleeping. I would sleep because the drugs would knock me out, and then I'd be hungover in the morning, dizzy. And I've been complaining about these symptoms for 25 years. Overdoses, neurological disorders, vomiting, esophagus, severe headaches, suicidal thoughts and depression while taking downers and medications that say right on the paperwork, if your child exhibits suicidal thoughts or depression, please consult your doctor right away. These could be symptoms of this medication, and these medications should be stopped right away if these symptoms persist. It says it right on the damn fucking paperwork, and I'm literally going up to my mother saying I'm having suicidal thoughts and depression while on like 3 or 4 medications that say that to my mother. So my mother's been told that statement 4 times. Right that same day, she's given me a pill, which on those pills' paperwork says this right on it. Then, about an hour after the pill kicks in, I come up to my mother and say I'm feeling this way. You know what my mother does? Get me more pills. Get me more hurt. She then says I'm always suicidal. I'm always depressed. I'm always self-harming. I've always been like this. I've been like this from childhood, she says. No, that's all full of shit. You stole my swimming medal, and I was sucking on my skin because you gave me an overdose. But yet, my mother tries to say it's all self-harming. He was sucking on his skin because he likes to self-harm. The overdose never happened. He tried to burn down the house because he's crazy. He tried to do... That's all fantasies. You had a 5-year-old playing with matches. That's all that happened there. And she tried to put words in my mouth. On top of this, then my mother literally steals my swimming medal and says I'm a liar, a thief, and have attachment disorder. These things continue and continue and continue. No, I haven't been crazy for life, but my mother sure has been. My mother even died of liver failure while my father tried to hide it. That's fucking nuts. Yes, keeping your wife's actions a secret, meanwhile loved ones are trying to figure out what's going on, might not be the best bet forward, Dad. Your wife is with liver failure, 20% of her liver working, trying to suck down a martini in front of you. If that's not, hey, I'm an alcoholic over here. Hey, my liver's failing because I like drugs and alcohol. If that's not a clear statement right there, if that's not her saying that statement right there, if you don't get that big red flag, then you are blind and you need to listen to your sons. Because your son, Zach, your son, Tim, your son, Jeff, your grandson, Seth, your sister, Val, we have all said that there's something wrong with your wife. We have all pointed this out. We all said there was something wrong. Meanwhile, your wife is in charge of somebody else's child. What are you going to do about this? Oh, you're going to let her finish him off. Oh, you're going to finish the child off so nobody knows. And then you're going to try to hide it now she's dead. Okay, great. So I have to die in the woods is basically where we're at.